Hey there, it's Heidi here. In today's video, we will talk about building communities that comes from learning real English conversations. English conversation is quite different from English reading. Conversation uses a different type of English, including different vocabulary. So why do you need to understand conversational English? To understand the English that native speakers use to communicate with one another. You need to learn the common everyday English that Americans constantly use with their friends, their families, and their coworkers. And yet, this kind of English is not found in English textbooks. Schools don't teach it. Very few English learners know it. That's why so many learners come to the United States and can't understand regular conversations. Common, casual conversation should be the first thing you learn. Firstly, you want to communicate with other people. You want to chat and make friends with people on the bus, and understand what they are saying. You want to talk to your coworkers. You want to understand TV shows and movies. Learn that first, then, and only then, focus on academic English. Next, English conversation is about building connections. English conversation is about connection. We want to connect with people around the world personally and emotionally. We want to connect with business partners, clients, and customers. We want to connect with professional peers. We want to connect with new friends. Many students forget the ultimate reason they are learning. In traditional English conversation classes, it's easy to get too focused on tests, textbooks, grades, and levels. After some time, the student is so worried about these artificial measurements that they forget their ultimate purpose for study, to communicate with others. At the deepest level, English conversation is about community, building and sustaining meaningful connections between people. We can make it our ultimate goal to use our seminars, lessons, and forums as a way to create strong communities. We want to help people connect and communicate in positive and meaningful ways, and help them stay connected. Next, written versus oral English. English conversation vocabulary is much more casual. In English, this means we use more words of Saxon or Old English origin during a conversation. We also use more phrasal verbs, 2 or 3 word verbs. The difference between conversation and more formal English is one reason that even advanced students have difficulty with everyday conversations. The problem is that students learn more formal English in school. Formal English tends to use more words of French and Latin origin. This kind of English is, in fact, much easier for students who speak Romance languages such as Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, or French. These students often do quite well when reading English but have a lot of trouble understanding normal speech. So, if you want to communicate with native speakers, it's very important to learn English conversation, not just what you learn in books and textbooks. To learn conversation, you must listen to more casual English, and you must learn to understand the different vocabulary and patterns used in normal speech. Always focus on real English conversation and use the vocabulary of common speech. Another great source of casual English conversation is movies. Listen to American and English movies and read the subtitles, and this will also help you. There is now a growing need to learn real English conversations today. School English is not real English. School English is English written incredibly formally. That is not how we speak in the real world. You'll want to include slang and idioms in your conversations. You learned school English, you learned textbook English, and you learned them both well, but this is why you can't understand real conversations. Let's talk more on understanding slangs and idioms. Words are the basis of how a reader or listener judges you, the writer and speaker. When you write an academic paper or speak in a business interview, you want to be sure to choose your words carefully. In our casual, everyday talk, we often use a lot of ums, likes, yas, and so on. This everyday language is not appropriate for formal contexts, such as academic papers and business interviews. You should switch between different ways of speaking and writing depending on whether the context is formal or informal. Take a look at this slang. Hey guys, let's learn about slang and other cool stuff like that. It will be awesome, trust me. This section is off the hook. You'll notice that the language sounds informal, or casual, like someone might talk with a friend or family member. The paragraph also uses a lot of slang. Slang is a type of language that is informal and playful. It often changes over time. The slang of the past is different than the slang of today, but some slang has carried over into the present. Slang also varies by region and culture. The important thing to understand is that slang is casual talk, and you should avoid using it in formal contexts. Take a look at this idiom: learning conversational English is a piece of cake and I'm feeling on top of the world. Idioms are expressions that have a meaning different from the dictionary definitions of the individual words in the expression. Because English contains many idioms, non-native English speakers have difficulties making logical sense of idioms and idiomatic expressions. The more you are exposed to English, however, the more idioms you will come to understand. Until then, memorizing the more common idioms may be of some help. What if you come across an idiom that you do not understand? There are clues that can help you. They are called context clues. Context clues are words or phrases around the unknown word or phrase that may help you decipher its meaning. Take a look at this definition or explanation clue: I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles, I was so nervous. Restatement or synonym clues. An idiom may be simplified or restated. Sentence: the young girl felt as though she had been sent to the doghouse when her mother punished her for fighting in school. Contrast or antonym clues. An idiom may be clarified by a contrasting phrase or antonym that is near it. Sentence: China thought the 5K marathon would be a piece of cake, but it turned out to be very difficult. Pay attention to the signal word but, which tells you that an opposite thought or concept is occurring. Slang and idioms essentially use informal language that is not appropriate in formal writing or speaking contexts. Slang and idioms might not make logical sense to non-native speakers of English. You need to be aware of slang and idioms so they do not appear in your formal writing. We hope the information here helps. Stay tuned for our next video. Have a great day ahead.